very first thing that was built out here at the sports park. If you're watching Facing the Giants, which was filmed a lot in that stadium over there at the school, that particular place is where they did the death crawl. And so if you look back to how the movie started, you watch during the death crawl and you look beyond Jason McLeod to the background, and you'll see a bulldozer clearing that field during the shooting of that scene. And so that was our very first field. Later we added these 8 tennis courts that are to the left of that. And beyond, which I know we're not going to be able to get into today, beyond these baseball fields, down in that lower area, are 3 more high school sized soccer fields. We're building those big ones because it's easy to, once you have the big one, to cut it in half for the under 6 and under 8 crowds. So there's 7 total soccer fields. 5 of them are all large, and then there are 2 small ones right up here to this area. So, and this area is special to my heart because I've had 2 of my boys married in the last 14 months, and my daughter was just proposed to and is getting married next June, and is going to be married right there on that field with the pond in the background. So if I can still afford it at that point after 3. We've got some questions. This may be a good point. The pond at the very center where that fountain stick is about 25 feet, but it's really a drop right at that point. If you went out 25 feet, it's about like this. So it's a very small grade till you get to the very end part, the deep part. And part of the security at the church that you have to have ties back to this. So if I'm going back to the church for a second, the security that you have to have these days, a lot of the church is probably 72 cameras at the church that are video cameras. There are also video cameras out here, video cameras on that pond that are monitored, for safety, as well as the pavilion. So it's all tied into a monitoring system at the church. Any other questions while we're waiting on something? Waiting on Monique.
When do you foresee the whole thing being done? Is there a timeline? Or?
The rest of the sod and the asphalt will all be done by the end of next week. The only things we have left to do out here in the current vision is that playground. That'll be back over there at the end of the pavilion. We have a set of bathrooms on the lower part. We want to put some, like, I call them mushrooms, but it might be a rock, little speakers that are camouflaged in all the common areas that'll be playing praise music lightly as people are out by the pond fishing. And then there's some lighting along the road. So those elements are the last parts. I would say we're 85% finished by the end of next week. But those elements we'll come back and add in that area around the cross, the fountain there. Anyone else? You can see back here at the back of the pavilion, the canopy where those grills I was telling you about that supply the main part. And that really works well for some evangelistic events we've had out here with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and others, because again, it's not just us using it, but a lot of other people in the community. Yes, Holly?
What has been the reaction? I mean, I know they're probably obviously grateful, but what have been the hearsay of things that have come back to you? I'm sure that it's rewarding to hear the churches say thank you.
The question was, what are we hearing back from the community? We have a chamber after hours coming up in a few months to where they'll actually come out here and see it finished. But already we have a very large medical facility in town that is trying to attract doctors and different people to the community. And they've begun to tour, to begin to show people that are coming to the community the kind of things that are being offered in our community. So it's beginning to be something that's helping local companies attract. But anything that brings them to a track to come out here, they're going to be confronted with the gospel, and they're going to. One of the things that we started doing that I think has been really key for us. We've seen a huge jump in our baptisms due to the Upwards program, but we've also started to see people who come and their story in the baptistry as well. I came so my child could get involved in this recreational ministry, and then somebody told me about Christ. And so the other day, we have this thing, and I guess a lot of newspapers in different towns have a squawk box where it's 99% negative. And a few weeks ago, one gentleman wrote into the squawk box and put, "I'm 44 years old, and I just found Christ. My child was in a recreational program. Please come to Sherwood Baptist Church this Sunday. I'm being baptized." And so, some neat stories that are coming through that, and there's a connection with that. One of the things we started to do is have the father standing in the baptistry with their children when they're baptized, and we talk to them about what that's about. The children go through a 7-week program preparing them and making sure they're ready for baptism. At the same time they're in the class, their parents are in the class for 7 weeks, understand what the commitment with their child's going through. And so some of those that are coming through recreation, their child are going through there, they're going through, and we've had several that in that situation, dad comes into baptistry, and the story is, he was going through the class, he recognized his need for Christ. I need to be baptized so now I can stand in here with my child when they're baptized, and is committed to being the godly parent for them. So, any other questions? Are we clear?